Hey everybody, if you've been watching my videos recently, you'll know I've been doing a rebuild series on my Yamaha motorcycle, and during that build I needed to get an impact driver, and I decided to buy the Bosch Professional GDR 18V 160, representing 160 Newton meters, its maximum torque. But I'm not so sure about that, and I'm going to try and test that in the video later on. But I want to give you a little sort of overview of what the tool is, how I found it, because I'm generally quite happy with it, but I do want to test what it is and isn't capable of. Although it not being quite as good as it may want to claim is actually a bit of a benefit to me. But we'll get into that. The first thing I want to say is one of the reasons I bought this is because I already have batteries for this tool, because I bought a kit without battery or charger, because I did a review in the past on this Bosch Professional GSB 18V 28. It's a combi drill driver. If you want to see that video, go and watch it. Now, I was given this tool by Bosch to do that review. It was a completely honest review on the basis which was they sent me the tool, I did a review, and that was that. I could say whatever I want, and that's what I did. However, when I contacted Bosch and said, hey, can I get one of these impact drivers, they've since updated their sort of policies to help bring themselves in line with litigious things, basically, to make sure that they don't make any problems for themselves. They wanted me to sign a contract. And nothing in the contract was too bad, but I never want to sign a contract that in any way says anything about what I can or can't say. I mean, it didn't really have any of that in it, but it's just, I didn't feel right about it. So it is a shame I can't get tools from Bosch anymore, but I'd rather give 100% honest things, and I can say that I have no contract or anything like that to do the video. I bought this with my money, with the thanks to the viewers of this channel and my patrons that allow me to make these videos and do these things. I bought one without a charger, without a battery, because I already had those things, and it was about £90 and it came in this case. The interesting thing is, it is the case for it because it's right there on the label and it says it doesn't have a battery or anything that comes with it. But the plastic inside is very clearly not for this tool. Really doesn't fit very well. But it doesn't matter because I don't even use these boxes. But the boxes themselves are quite nice because you can, take this out. They stack together using these clips and these hooks up here, which is quite handy. So to get this box, it might be useful for you, but to me, just a bit of a waste of space. Belt clip, I don't use those. Instruction manual, I don't need that. So yeah, it is just a basic impact driver. I decided to go with the type that uses these quick disconnect bits, because it's a little bit smaller and it can do some of these smaller bolts and things that I want to do. You can still use adapters and put sockets on these things, but that's one of the things I want to test because this claims 160 Newton meters and I'm really not that sure about it. But anyway, in operation, variable trigger, forward, reverse with this, and it locks out in the middle. It does have an LED that comes on here, which is bright enough to see what you're doing, but there's something about this LED that concerns me, and it's the fact that it's unprotected and that it sits out the front of the body of the tool. Seems like it's very likely to get smashed off. I just realised I should have shown you closer. The quick disconnect feature works. You just push it in, pull this back and it slides in, and then it's in, and then to get it out, you pull that and then pull that out. Nice and easy. It's a very comfortable grip in the hand, although I do have pretty big hands, but I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem for anyone. It feels nicely made. Is this... Yeah, this is plastic, this is plastic, this is rubber. In fact, we've got the information here. It is PA6 glass fibre reinforced 30%, and that is SEBS. I'm trying to remember what that is. Butylene, is it? But it's injection moulded rubber that goes on the back in the process. But anyway, reasonably well made. It feels... I'm going to take the battery off because there's a little bit of flex in that. There isn't much twist in it. It feels good. I don't have any complaints about the build, especially for 90 quid. Let's say variable trigger. So that's kind of that. What more can I tell you about it? It's a very simple tool, but what I do want to do is show you a couple of examples of it in use, and then I'm going to try and torque up a bolt and see where this actually gets to. In the base of the driver, it comes with this one bit, which has... Is that the same type on both ends? Yeah, it's a PH2. That'll probably be fine for what I'm about to do. So I'll try this screwing some screws in. Just going to get these started and then I'll go through all of them. Oh, there's a harder piece of wood there. There's a knot or something. Right. Told you there was something harder there. It started hammering before it got the screw all the way in, which is interesting. Let's try and hammer this one down as far as we can. Wasn't expecting that. The hard one at the end was because it went through a knot here, you can see. These went down absolutely fine, and that one just sank. I mean, it's gone. That's pretty impressive. Just going to try and do the same thing using the Bosch drill. Right, I got this on speed 2, screwdriver mode, about 15 on the clutch. Let's try and screw this one through the knot. Ooh. It's got the force to ruin a screw, I tell you. I had a feeling this was better for doing screws because I did a few screws and things with it, but it's actually pretty comparable. If you don't want to do any hammer drilling or any drilling that you need to clamp down onto a round drill, then this is actually really good, but for those other things you need, yeah. Now, to be clear, the best sort of scientific way of testing torque with impact drivers and stuff is to have a hydraulic system with a pressure gauge on the end of it, and as you tighten up plates into it or something like that, it'll give you a figure in PSI, and then you can do the conversions that way. I don't have any of that to my availability, but what I do have is nuts and bolts. So for a small size, I'm going to try a small button head Allen and an 8mm nut, and I'm going to pop that in the vise. Not squeezing it too hard to deform it, and then I'm going to tighten this down as much as I can and then try and undo it with a torque wrench. And in theory, the point that it undoes will give us a figure. We'll work our way up. As I say, this is not scientific, but it's the best I can think of right now. So remember, the impact drivers work not by just turning something continuously, it gets hammered around, and that's where it gets its torque from. So I need to let this run for a few seconds to get a good, torque on it. Okay, that went down, and then it turned a bit, and then it stopped absolutely solid, so I think that's as tight as we're going to get it. If I went any harder, I feel like you'd probably snap it. Right, so this is on 30 Newton meters. And it just undid. I think I've given it a fair chance there. Check out that monstrosity of adapters. I'm going to use my smaller torque wrench to see if this will work easier this way. I want it to click before it undoes and then work my way up. By the way, if you want to know how to set one of these torque wrenches, I've done a video on that. Okay, 9 Newton meters. It undid it. Okay, this is not a good example, I'm thinking. I think that fastener was just too small, so let's try something bigger. Well, I need to get this nut off of here first. Oh, come on. Start that off, and then I'm going to use the impact. So let's start as low as we can at 30. And it undid it. Okay, so I'm going to try this in reverse. Okay, I'm going to do this up to 100 Newton meters using the torque wrench. If I can get it there. There we go. Can it undo it? No. So now I'm going to tighten it back up to 80 Newton meters. So 80 Newton meters. Just. So it seems like at 100 it didn't want to undo it, and the problem is you can't keep these running. Having seen reviews on these tools myself in the past, I know if you keep running these, they get hotter and hotter and hotter, and already, this is starting to feel warm, and I don't want to destroy this tool because I want to actually keep it. I will say these, I don't think, even though they're called the professional range, I don't know if these are good for a professional who's using them all day, every day. If you're a professional in any trade that uses these tools, please let me know your experience. The more experiences we have in the comments, the better idea we can all have of how well these tools do, because I only have a sample of one to go on. Okay, so let's try that again. Because I don't know exactly which way is going to be the best way of doing this, I'm going to try a few different methods. So, what I've done there is I've just done it up. I'm now going to set the torque wrench to 30 Newton meters, and I'm going to try and do it up. Now, if it clicks straight away, we know it's above that, in theory, right? Straight away clicked 40 Newton meters. 50. Didn't really move much. I don't think it moved. I'm not putting any great effort on this. I feel like I'm just putting the effort in to click the system. 70. Yeah, that just moved a tiny, tiny little bit, I think. Just in case it didn't, let's go up to 80 and see if it's more obvious. I'm unsure. So what are we going to say? 60, 70 Newton meters, somewhere around there seems to be what a few second gets you. Now to test my theory, I'm going to reverse this and see how much force it takes to get it off. So we're at, where we were at like 80 then, weren't we? Okay, now I'm going to try and take it off at 30. Okay, so my idea of undoing it clearly doesn't work. That's interesting. I don't know what to make of this. I'm trying to think of a system that I can actually test this from all angles, and then you, the viewers, who are very smart, can work out which one was the best way, because I'm guessing if you put 100 on, it doesn't take 100 to take a bolt off. I'll cover batteries and chargers in just a second, but to talk about the tests, I do realise that this has probably got its rating from using a very small diameter shaft, like something like this. Obviously, if you start increasing the tool on the outside, you start decreasing what the tool's capable of doing. So its 160 Newton meter value might be from something like this, but at least I can give you an idea of what it can do with sockets as well. If you do want one that's more powerful, and you mainly want to use sockets on it, they do a 1/2 inch version that you just put your sockets onto the end of it, and that can go up to 200 Newton meters. Obviously, that's designed to be used with sockets, so it's probably closer to the figure. As I say, it's a bit tricky to say, but this might give you an idea. So as I mentioned, when I bought the tool, it didn't come with any batteries, but these are the batteries that I use. And actually, I can't give you a time how long they last for through continuous use. I just find that they last a reasonably good amount of time. Enough to do a day's work for me. As you can see, these show with the indicator how charged they are. And with two of these, I find that I never have a problem. When one's on charge, the other one's in use, and then when it starts getting a bit low, I switch them over. And as I say, there's never been a time that I've been waiting on a battery to charge because I've done that much stuff, so I can't comment on it too much. This is the charger for these, and these just slide on like so. And when it clicks on, a little light comes on to show it's charging, and a little fan comes on and it makes noise because it keeps this cooled. It takes around... It's hard to say again because obviously I don't pay attention so much to the batteries. I think it's around an hour to charge one of these fully, maybe slightly less, but it's not a huge amount of time, so reasonable. So as you've seen from the testing, I would say it's a little inconclusive because I don't think it's an amazing test, but it's the best I can do. But I'd like to know, what do you think we can draw from this? There must be some information we can draw from what I've tested, so if there's anything you want to add to the comments, go for it. As I say, for my uses, I'm very happy with this tool. It's super handy, mainly for things like fairing bolts and small stuff that you've got to take off and put back on. The nice thing is, as I was mentioning earlier on, because it isn't quite as powerful as you might think, although if you could really mess up some nuts and bolts if you hold it there, you can, start a screw off in a fairing or something, root it in, and when it goes bang bang, it's very loose. So you can use that as a mark to, and you get a feel for how tight it's going to do things up. You can equally wait till it gets to the bottom for the speed of screwing in the screw if it's a long one, and then just tighten it up by hand with another tool. I've done both. But yeah, that is my little review test you might want to call it, of the Bosch Professional GDR 18 volt 160. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to hit that like button. I would appreciate it very much. Equally, if you're new here, or you're not new here and you're not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I'm on my way to 100k, and we're getting very close to 90k at the moment. And if you want to help support this channel, please consider doing that through Patreon. I am a bit of a mixed channel. I mainly do motorcycle related stuff, both riding, reviews, mechanical, and I also do tool stuff and lots of other stuff besides. Check it out, see what you think. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.